Yet another unpopular decision. The erstwhile government led by KP Sharma Oli hiked fares of public transport before leaving office, citing the increase in price of petroleum products and spare parts. This has invited another outpour of public outcry, putting additional spotlight on the new government for necessary remedies. Good morning, I'm Sarah Sapsanama and these are the headlines of the hour. CPN leader Madhav Kumar Nepal assures Prime Minister Dewa of his support in the upcoming confidence vote. Former Prime Minister Oli says there is no space for senior leader Nepal in the party. The erstwhile government led by KP Sharma Oli hikes the fares for long-distance public transport before leaving office. Fares increased by 20 to 28%. Taliban fighters in Afghanistan seize control of a major border crossing with Pakistan, one of their most important objectives achieved so far. And Barcelona forward Lionel Messi reaches a verbal agreement on a 5-year contract extension with the club, with his salary to be reduced by 50% under the new deal. Prime Minister Sher Dewa and CPN senior leader Madhav Kumar Nepal held a meeting yesterday to discuss on possible ways to ensure a full term for the current government. Prime Minister Dewa visited senior leader Nepal at his residence in Koteshwar and held a meeting for over an hour. According to CPN lawmaker Birod Khatiwada, the meeting dwelled upon the upcoming vote of confidence. Political analysts have said senior leader Nepal has a key role to play in deciding the future of the incumbent government. 23 lawmakers from CPN including senior leader Nepal, had given support for the appointment of Dewa as the Prime Minister when the then Premier KP Sharma Oli dissolved the House of Representatives for the second time. Former Premier Oli, who shifted to his private residence in Balkot from his official residence in Balwatar, blamed his own party's fellow leader Nepal and remarked that the leader Nepal was largely involved in anti-development activities and bringing down his government. While leaving Balwatar yesterday, Oli was escorted by a mass rally of leaders and cadres that reached different parts of the Kathmandu Valley before reaching Balkot, Kantipur. Oli had shifted to the official residence in Balwatar for the second time after being appointed to the post of premiership. Former Prime Minister Oli returned to his private residence after Nepali Congress President Sher Dewa was appointed as the Prime Minister on Tuesday. Now, the erstwhile government led by KP Sharma Oli hiked fares for long-distance public transport before leaving office. A notice was published yesterday by the Department of Transport Management, citing that the fares of public vehicles travelling from one province to another have been increased by up to 28%. According to the notice, the fares of public transports have been increased by 28%, while the fares of freight vehicles operating in the hilly region have been increased by 20% and those operating in the Tarai region by 26%. The Transport Ministry on Sunday provided consent to the Department of Transport Management to increase the fares. However, the decision was taken only on Tuesday. The former government decided to increase the fares, citing rise in prices of petroleum products and vehicle parts. Consumer rights activists have accused the former government of taking the decision after being influenced by transport entrepreneurs. They also said that an additional burden has been put on the people at a time when market prices have gone up. The Special Court has approved the release of former Deputy Prime Minister and Physical Planning Minister Bijay Kumar Gachadar, arrested for his involvement in the infamous Lalita Niwas land scam, on a bail of 1 million rupees. The bench of chairmen of the Special Court, Premraj Karki, Judges Abdul Aziz Musalman and Nityananda Pandey, yesterday ordered to release Nepali Congress leader Gachadar on bail. The Commission for the Investigation of Abuse of Authority had claimed a compensation of 96.5 million rupees against Gachadar. Following the court's order, Gachadar was released on bail after depositing 1 million rupees. The leader reached the court yesterday, almost 18 months after the case was filed. The Special Court had recorded his statement carried out in the hearing and decided to release him on bail. Giving reaction after his release, former Deputy Prime Minister Gachadar stated that CIA's decision to file a case against him was based on prejudice. The Commission for the Investigation of Abuse of Authority in its petition had accused the Nepali Congress leader for tabling a proposal at the cabinet that directly profited individuals and incurred a loss of 96.5 million rupees to the state coffers. Most of the accused, including former CIA Chief Commissioner Deep Kumar Basnath, have already been released on bail. Corruption watchdog CIA had filed a lawsuit against 175 individuals in the land scam case. Now, the fate of the annual budget has been dangling with the change in the new government. Nepali Congress leaders have said that the new government will review the budget that was introduced by the former government.
The erstwhile government presented the annual budget for the fiscal year 2021-22 through an ordinance just 7 days after the then Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli dissolved the House of Representatives on 22nd of May. Leaders within the then ruling CPN-UML, along with the opposition parties, also backlashed at the 164.7 billion rupee budget. With the new leadership, questions have been raised on the legitimacy of the budget. The new government formed under Nepali Congress is preparing to amend the budget under several headings and table it at the parliament. In the first meeting of the reinstated House of Representatives, the government is constitutionally obliged to table all the ordinances that were issued within these days. The government can opt to either recommend the President to scrap this ordinance or amend it by tabling related bills. If the government fails to do so within 60 days from the first meeting of the lower house, the budget will automatically be defunct. The new leadership has already expressed its dissatisfaction over the allocation of the budget presented by the erstwhile government. However, as experts have opined, the Finance Ministry is under the leadership of CPN Maoist Center, resulting clash of interest within the newly formed government regarding the budget. The budget thus could be endorsed with some amendment.
Nepal Oil Corporation has reduced the price of petroleum products by 1 rupee per litre after widespread criticism and pressure from all quarters. 5 student organizations have been protesting as the corporation had increased the price of petroleum products several times in the past 4 months. The corporation reduced the price of petrol, diesel and kerosene by 1 rupee per litre effective from today in an effort to silence the protests. Now, petrol will cost 128 rupees per litre, while diesel and kerosene will cost 111 rupees per litre. The corporation issued a press release saying that it has been adjusting the price of petroleum products according to the price of crude oil in the international market. In our Public Voice segment, today we've asked locals in Bhaktapur and Kavre what they think of the 28% hike in public vehicle fares. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
सर्वसाधारण उनीहरुको त तपाईको त दैनिकी खर्च त बढ्यो नि
केपी ओली सँगैको यो जाँदा जाँदैको सरकारले चाहिँ यो 28% बढाएको भाडा चाहिँ तत्काल खारेज गर्नुपर्छ।
यस्तो महामारीको बेलामा चाहिँ सरकारले गाडी भाडा बढाउनु भनेको चाहिँ मेरो लागि चाहिँ एकदमै गलत निर्णय हो जस्तो लाग्छ, किनकि म पनि एउटा काम गर्ने मान्छे हो अनि मेरो पनि अफिसले चाहिँ 50% चाहिँ मेरो तलबमा कटौती गरेको छ अनि म चाहिँ सधैँ गाडीमा जानुपर्ने हुन्छ।
गाँस बासको जो कसरी गर्ने भन्ने अवस्थामा यसरी जनतालाई 28% सम्म भाडा वृद्धि दर गरेर उनीहरुको आर्थिक अवस्थालाई चाहिँ झन्झन कमजोर बनाउनु यो ठुलो चाहिँ गलत काम हो।
Time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion. The question is what's your say on the fare hike of public transport? Your options are A, usual practice, B, burden during pandemic, and C, influence of entrepreneurs. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. That's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.